I would love to ask you, Lizette, what was your challenges when you were applying? Since you're also like from Chile, I think you have pretty interesting experience about it.
Well, about challenges, a lot. I think the first one was understanding that this is a different market, work market, labor market. This is different, and the people is not expecting to have the same that I was used to in Chile. So in Chile, for example, we use just the CV, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned that in Finland you use the CV and the cover letter. Why? I don't know. I always check the CV as a recruiter, but I have to say that I know that there are other recruiters that it depends. They always check the cover letter first, and then if the cover letter is good, they check the CV. So
Oh,
it
really?
depends. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So challenges, I had a lot. I sent, I don't know, maybe 200 CVs when I came to Finland. Also, it's important to the networking that you have, because you have, it's like in sales, you have leads there, and then you have to follow them up. And if you know people, it is very important here in Finland that you like have these relationships. It's very difficult to have friends, also Finns friends, but then they love to go and have coffee or things like that. And also it is important to go to events, network there. I think those things help me more than sending CVs. Yeah, I have to say that. And when I did, for example, this Hanken SSE, that is a university in Finland from Stockholm, and then I did some immigration program there, and I met a lot of people, and then I still in contact with them. And then like maybe every once in a year or something. And every time that they ask me of something, I said yes, if I can, of course. And then I think this is very important in Finland, the networking. Yeah, I think that helped me a lot in my case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the networking part cannot be emphasized enough. It's not just for international students or international job applicants. It's even for native Finnish people that a lot of the jobs go through networks, and Finnish. The culture in recruitment in Finland, I'm hoping that is changing, but one of the things that is always emphasized to international students is the importance of learning Finnish. And unfortunately, it still happens a lot that if the name is not, it doesn't sound Finnish, it doesn't matter how much you've practiced or how well you speak it, your CV may still go unnoticed if there is a requirement of Finnish language skills in that position. I think that is decreasing. I hope that is the case, but I'd like to also, if there are any businesses listening to this podcast, to really challenge them into opening their minds and kind of being more courageous in their recruitment processes and really embracing the diversity and seeing the opportunities that comes through hiring international people from different cultures and really the research also shows the benefits are vast for having a diverse workforce, and I know like in the south of Finland, in the Helsinki and the capital region, it's different, very different compared to say central Finland. But I'm hoping that slowly we will get those steps towards more kind of an open and embracive, inclusive society when it comes to international students as well. Because the thing is that we have educated these people here in Jyväskylä. We want to keep the people here in Jyväskylä, and we want to benefit from that. And it shouldn't all be kind of pushed on the responsibility of the students themselves. We also need a city that is welcoming, and that is that wants these people to succeed here and stay here.
Yeah, I just wanted quickly to say that a lot of times, like, I think some companies underestimate international students specifically, because when you're international students, you, I think, can show that you can work in diverse multinational companies and in different kind of teams, because they come to Finland, they study in a foreign country with foreigners as well. So in university we do a lot of like teamworks in mixed together, so there are like different people from different countries and backgrounds. And I think this is what some companies don't put in their mind as well when they're like seeing the application of the international student, and also that international students sometimes don't value that strength a lot, because it is their strength that they are international students and that they can work in different environments.
Yeah, they've overcome a lot of barriers already.
Yeah,
you know, they're very courageous, taking that step to move to a different country and to study in an international environment. So absolutely, and something that should be emphasized in both for the students and then for employers.
Yeah, but I have to agree with Katriina that learning the language of the country that you are is very important, and maybe you are not going to master the language as I don't, for example, but I can understand, and then that is on my CV. So then I have the B2 Finnish language, even though, for example, we speak always English, and then if it's not mandatory, I try to always switch to English, but then I have it. So then and also that is another thing. For example, if you check job ads online, for example, let's go on LinkedIn, if you check that, there are out of 100% of job ads, maybe in our area in HR, maybe 70% are written in Finnish. So they said in their requirements that they need the Finnish language as a requirement. So then what are you left? 30% of them you can apply as an international student if you don't have or you don't want to work in Finnish. So maybe in an entry-level job as a student, it's easy because you won't be pushed to maybe to have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. But maybe the Finnish is good to have at least the basic. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it like in the last podcast that even though in Finland people speak really well English, it still is need to know at least basics of Finnish to be able to support daily communication with your colleagues, like, I don't know, at lunch or at coffee break to talk about something. So, yeah, but...
And I think it also shows commitment. That you're keen to stay in the country. And also will make it easier for you to kind of understand the Finnish culture and get into really deep into the culture.
Yeah.
Yes, language is always key to that.
But sometimes, students have difficulty to know how to approach to these events, how to start conversations. And I think my question would be, if they will go to the interview, how they should present themselves, what they should ask HRs if HR is calling them. What is the hook? I don't know. Question would be.
Well, it depends. If they are calling the because in the job ads there is sometimes like this person that is handling the recruitment process, and there is a number there, and it says that if you have any questions, you can call. This is one approach, and the other one is if someone is calling you from HR, screening you.
Mm-hmm.
So which one do you want me to refer?
I think first one.
Okay. If there is a number and you have a good question, let's call. But if you are going to call and then start asking the same things that you can read in the job ad, maybe it's not good to call. I have to say that I never called. Just once that I called to check because it's been like 2 months. And I really wanted that job, so I called and I said that I am asking because there is 2 months already there, and 5 minutes after I hung up the phone, I received a no email. So in my case, I never called. If I don't have any good questions to ask or any important topic, I think it's more. This is a different approach when you are in an event and you are networking. I think in that like place you have to not call, but go and talk with everyone if you want. For example, and then you have to prepare maybe an elevator speech, something very, very short that something very specific on you. Because in Finland, I realized that everyone introduced themselves with their title, even though in a coffee break. So when I was working in Kone for 4 months in an internship, and I was in the kitchen, and everyone that I met there, they were like, "Hello, I'm la 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 la, and I work like that, and I have a bachelor in that." And I was like, "What?" I'm in a coffee break, so I'm Lisette, and really nice to meet you. I don't know.
I enjoy coffee.
Or I'm from Chile. I don't know. I joined the company a few weeks ago, and I was like impressed on that. So now I know that I have to say specific things. And also when you are in an event, and there, for example, last week I was in an event, and there were people from different companies, very known people. And then I went there because I really wanted to know some of them and to hear them. So I went there and I introduced myself. And this is not like easy, of course, because they are not. They are always with someone, talking with someone. But then if you say, "Hi, my name is Lisette, and I want to know you because I read, for example, you were talking about." I will use the same about figures in HR, or you were talking about I don't know, attrition or development or anything, and I was very impressed about your words there. I don't know, anything that there is some reason because you want to be there in the event, and there is some people that you want to know. So then use that, and I have to say that in Finland, Finns are very open to that approach. Like out of the blue, someone who is saying something, and then they are very open to give you or contact you through LinkedIn. And if they contact you or you contact them through LinkedIn, you can invite them or you can ask to have a coffee if it's something that is interesting.
Yeah, and especially on these kind of networking events, the time is reserved for networking. So that's when these the representatives of different companies are there, made themselves available for the people who attend. So absolutely, that time should be used wisely, and the conversation starter could be anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I've seen, I think many students, when they go to these events, since they're like looking for the network to find job, they just come and ask like, I'm looking for a job. And I think I would say, in my opinion, this is not a mistake, but it's better if students would start like not from I'm looking for a job, but rather like this topics that you said, like, oh, I've seen you were talking about this topic, and I think, and they put their own opinion in this discussion, and then they develop their communication skills, they develop their critical thinking. So then they can start kind of to ask their contact information and then approach about the job thing, but not like directly, hello, I'm this student, I study here and I'm looking for a job, hire me please.
Well, if it's a job there, absolutely, why not?
well job, but like on this, like business networking events, I think that should be a bit like not straightforward and more from other sides.
Yeah, and it can be kind of, I feel very uncomfortable because if we don't have any open positions, and then I have to just say, no, we have nothing at the moment, but you can always leave an open application. So the idea of networking is networking. It should result in having someone new in your network. It may, of course, result in having a job at the end of the day, but just networking events, use it for networking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And maybe if you know someone there in the event, if you approach someone from a company, for example, we were in JAMK event last, I don't know, a few months ago, and we didn't have any positions open at the moment, as Katrina said, but we were there. So Katrina was approached by a person, and the person was saying that he is very, very interested in the company because you work with this and that, and these are the opportunities that I saw in your webpage, and I'm very interested, blah, blah, blah. And she said that you can leave an open application there. Okay. After that, the person sent her the CV. And we had, after a couple of months, an open position for that. And she remembered him from that event. And she told me, there's one person that was very interesting, I think could be there. And I called him. So it not necessarily have to happen for that event and that job, but someone that you approach on that event and is now in your network could be the next leading to the next role. Also, you can, when you have these connections on LinkedIn and then you post something on LinkedIn that you are looking after something or you are working in this, and then you will in the future looking after something, then someone from your network can lead you to that future role.
Yeah, actually LinkedIn is such a powerful tool because I think other than business students, what I've seen, not many students from other degrees, especially tech degrees, are aware of the power of LinkedIn, and not many students know how to use it other than just putting your profile information and that's it. But what I've seen is that the more you post, the more you have your network grow, because like if one person likes it, then another one sees it as well, and then they kind of connect to each other. And I think that in LinkedIn, people are not really like critical to, do I know this person or do I don't know? So they just usually easily connect and you can write them messages. And I think that's how at least I approached to the interview when I was looking for a job, is that as you mentioned, sometimes networking helps even better than your CV. I just wrote the message to the hiring manager of one company and I was like, hey, I'm this, and I had like few questions about this job position you mentioned. And I asked the question that was not mentioned in the job description. So, and then, so he doesn't say like, go read the job ad again and again. Don't ask me these questions. But yeah, I messaged him. I asked that question regarding like, do you provide the visa permit? Because I'm an international person. So, and after that, I also mentioned that, by the way, I'm this person, I have like prior 2+ experience in this and this, and kind of started putting like my information. And I was really surprised because I didn't expect that he will answer me, but he answered me and he was like, yeah, send us your CV, we will see. And I was like, okay, I sent that CV, but I was still with low expectations that they will look at it. And I was so surprised because this application period was like already 3 months going. And I kind of got the exact response from the HR inviting me to the interview. And I was like, okay, then might be that sometimes in the recruitment process it doesn't work like we have one like application period open and we close it and then we start looking for CVs and then interviewing people. So it depends from the companies, as I understood, and that networking, posting on LinkedIn, reaching to the people and through LinkedIn messaging is something that is also valuable. That is not mentioned by many people, I think.
Absolutely. I think there are as many recruitment processes as there are businesses that it can be. And of course, the situations also vary in the company. So it could be that there is a position open, but then it gets, I don't know, internally filled or something else. And then that position is no longer open. And then we have like a public sector positions where there are like a certain legal standards for the process compared then to private sector, which can be a wild west, really. Yeah. It could be anything. So there can be primarily, of course, if there is a job ad and you're applying for the job ad, it's preferable to follow the process that is described in that job ad, and because it makes the recruiters work a lot easier that they get all the applications through the same channel and not through various different channels. But
a specific recruitment process doesn't depend on the company. Of course, we have some boundaries and rules, and we have to run the recruitment process like that. But could happen anything. So, for example, sometimes I have one recruitment process open and I put there 3 weeks because the line manager needs the person now for yesterday. But then in 3 weeks, we don't have anyone good enough for the job. So we need to open it again. And then, or sometimes in the first day we have the right person, we try to go through the other ones. But then it depends on that. And there are some times that we opened a position and then suddenly we filled it internally. So, and I think that our, not hope, but I try as a recruiter when I do that, not ghosting anyone. I always try to communicate in a promptly, I always try to do that because I have it in the other end. So I know that how difficult it is to start just waiting and waiting and waiting.
It's really nice that you mentioned this because I think I and other students were always interested how it works, because sometimes, we see that this person like found this job immediately, like after applying, and some just wait like, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, waiting for at least response like, do you proceed with me to the next part of recruitment or no? And I think now it makes sense, kind of clears up a bit how and why it works like this. So it always depends from the company and from the HR and from the job specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think my question would be, what kind of practical advice, other than that you mentioned before, can you give to international students when they're looking for a job?
The networking that was discussed earlier being number one. But maybe secondly is that looking for a job is never easy. There's always challenges in that, finding that perfect match and finding a company where you want to work, finding the position you want to be in, and then finding the opening for that where you apply and all that. It's never easy, but it's even harder when you're junior, when you're a recent graduate. You don't have necessarily the work experience yet, or especially work experience from that field, and then when you're an international student in Finland. So prepare yourself for a lot of rejections and try not to take it personally, as we've heard and as has been discussed here, that there are various reasons for the rejection, and it could be that a recruiter gets 200 CVs for an open position. That that there is nothing wrong with your application. There is nothing wrong with you, but just that there were 20 people who were better suited for that position, and only one gets chosen. So just try not to get too pessimistic, and kind of keep going, and that position will be there. Keep up the good spirits, and find out the kind of the other things that can do to support you in your in looking for that job. It could be through the hobbies. It can be, you can build your network through the hobbies. If you like sports, join a football club, local club or something. Find somewhere where you can interact with Finnish people and get acquainted with people to build that network also outside your student circles. I know it's easy for the international students to fall in that international student circle because you're in the same position and you have a lot in common with these people. And Finnish people often, while they may be students here, but they may be also working, they may have their families and their relatives and their friends, so it's difficult to find the time outside of that then to network with international students. So keep finding time and putting effort into building those networks with Finnish people, with businesses, with these networking, or the ones who organize these, like Talent Boost and others. That's probably my advice number one.
Yeah, very good. And I can build on that it is also important to maybe reflect a little bit after you got a rejection. Why? There are some recruiters that give some feedback, so you can always ask for feedback. I think it's easy when you send an email, because we as recruiters can have time to sit there, review who is this person, which role, what happened. Okay, this is the feedback. I think and ask always for some constructive feedback, not because it's easy to call the person and say, okay, hello, I'm calling you from Guantel, but I want to let you know that you are not choose for this and that. And this is a moment where the brain in a way stops, because you are being rejected. So you cannot think straightforward. So you cannot analyze the things. And even sometimes you cannot remember what did that person tell you in that call. So then you need to wait a little bit, and then you can send an email and say that, thank you for calling me, even though it wasn't that good. But can I ask you, please? I'm starting my career, for example. I'm a student, and I will really want to learn why, what happened here, what did I miss, for example, or anything. And maybe you won't get any reply, but maybe you will, and then you will learn from that. So this is another important thing that I think. Yeah,
at least you tried. I think you mentioned really, really nice advices, and I think I implemented this kind of thing that you mentioned. I tried to apply for different jobs, and then one time I just found this HR manager, and she was like, we don't have any positions right now opened yet, but I would love to have a small meeting with you if you want. And it's better to say yes rather than to say no, even though you won't get any job, but you will at least get to know this person, and it might be good for you in the future. And after that, I actually asked her, can you give me a feedback about CV or any tips? And she gave me really nice tips. And I think, that this is so important to know that, again, if you're getting rejected, still keep going. And for example, that she was sending 200 applications, and she found it. So there is always something for you, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's important to find that person. Could be not just one. And if it's a Finn, it's also important, because we are in Finland. Even though we speak in English, for example, there are a lot of things that I ask Katrina sometimes. Could be anything, child related, work related, law related, kitchen related, anything.
Yeah.
So then it's important, and as she was saying before, maybe if you have a hobby and then you have someone from Finland that is there, you can ask, and you can ask for advice, and there is a relationship in between. So these are another kind of network that is important. I have a really, really good friend from my previous job, and I always ask her, because she is a Finn, and there is some time that I think that I'm thinking like a Chilean, because I'm from Chile, even though I have been here. So then I ask her opinion, just that, and she always said that, yeah, could be this or could be that, and this is something for me to reflect. Important.
Yeah, I think what's the problem is that many international students, I think, overthink too much about what others are going to think about them here, like in a foreign country, like, oh, maybe I will seem a bit awkward or foolish or something else. So I think, like, if you guys are watching, don't overthink too much and just take one step forward to meet new people. As Katrina mentioned, try, I don't know, go to dances or football and meet new people that might be good for you to know, both in working environment and your own like life environment. It's really nice. That's how you interact with the foreign culture, and it might help you to boost your network quite a lot. And I think that's probably it. Thank you for joining again, and it was really, really nice topic. And there are like plenty of things that we could have covered, but yeah, it's a broad topic. So don't forget to follow Talent Boost on social media. And I want to say that we also, as a Talent Boost, are very interested in success of international students in central Finland in finding jobs. And we also started recently the CV clinics, so the sessions where they can come and ask for help on their CV, what they can change, what they can edit, and so on. So guys, don't miss the sessions. Come, and yeah, thanks for visiting.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.